Okay. Well, then in that case, welcome everyone to Knox Makers. It is Tuesday evening, and by tradition, this is the day of the week that we get together and do what we call show and share. We invite members and folks from the general community to bring projects they've been working on. Successful, unsuccessful, still in progress, whatever it is, we love to see it. We want to talk about it and learn from you and be inspired by whatever you've been up to. We've got several folks who've signed up to share projects with us this evening. And to kick it off, we've got David Martin, who has brought a goose whirly gig.
How's this go? It's kind of hard to see. Might be better to just hold it up. So I got this book. It's about making wind toys and whirligigs. And that's this thing. You see that since it has been a few hours since it last rained on it, the propeller works again. Yay! So this is mostly scale it up from the 3/4 size in the book, lay it out, do the graph paper thing. Lots of cutting. Turns out it's way faster on a bandsaw to cut it out here than it is on a scroll saw at home. So I've got 3 more in the queue. Lots of experimenting, lots of trying to figure out exactly what it is the lady who wrote the book was talking about. And the piece that's hard to get right is the spacer here, because when it rains and where you get a storm, which is like the best because that's when you get wind, the wood expands and seizes on the screw, and the screw having, I mean, it's sitting there waiting to grab wood. So I'm going to have to add a little brass piece of tubing inside so it won't crunch down on it quite so hard. But other than that, it's been mostly works, and I actually painted this time. Yay. So that's what I got.
That is quite charming. Thank you. We don't get enough whimsy around here for my taste. Next up, we've got Katie, who has brought a painting to show us tonight.
So I started doing some oil paintings. I don't live here, but I've been here for a little bit. And let me get to the album here. All photos, albums. How does this work? So I'm doing some paintings of like aerial views of different housing communities in New York and around the area. And this is one of the ones I've been working on. Just like geometric kind of aerial things. And so, oh wow, that's really bright, isn't it? Oh, whatever. So this is probably like 4 by 6 feet. This is like the base of the painting, which looks terrible from there. Maybe if I
Try zooming in closer.
do what?
Try zooming in closer with the T button.
Oh, zooming in with this guy?
Yeah, the bottom right.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, that works a bit. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit. Sorry, guys. Okay. So then I put the image of the X's on there with paper tape, and then I painted another layer on it. Again, it doesn't look great, but and that's with kind of the tape pulled off. But then I started coming here because I was using my iPad and drawing lines and then warping them in the iPad. And I wanted to make these really like crisp, like optical illusion lines. And so I started coming here to use their vinyl cutter, which John and Amos and a lot of these guys were really helpful getting me started with, which this is kind of just the texture of the painting, the background. So then I ended up printing 4 quadrants that I had to lay on the painting. And I had to seed these, and basically the illusion kind of marks here had to line up with the X's, you know? And the problem was like the registration marks I made didn't quite line up properly. So if the registration marks were all lined up, then the X's would be off on some of the quadrants. So I had to kind of do a lot of trial and error and to get it all lined up. So that's kind of the seated, and then that's it laid down, which looks bad. So that's like the 4 quadrants laid down, that's me applying paint. So you know, the white will be pulled off, which is the adhesive, and then the little black lines would stay. And that's the whole thing done. Let's see. And then this is kind of a example. God, this really is not showing very well. So that's an example of with the tape removed. It's just not, the light's kind of bad. Let me see. So it kind of is creating this illusion of depth on the painting, but it was a real pain to do it. It was not fun at all. But I think I'm happy the way it turned out, and yeah, that's all. I should have brought the painting, but it was too big.
Very interesting. That looks like incredibly painstaking work. Very cool. Next up this evening, we've got John, who has brought a smokeless fire pit to show us.
So this was just like a little project to do over the Christmas break when I was visiting my folks here in Maryville. The idea is kind of like this here. Let's see. Where's it at? Oh, here. Okay. No. D. So has anybody seen the Solo stoves that they sell now? They're kind of like a hot gift item. So they make different sizes of it, but it's the same basic idea where you have this airflow that comes in. So there's these holes down here at the bottom on the outside. That airflow comes in and it gets diverted into 2 ways. One of them goes underneath, comes this way, and sort of feeds a fire from below, right? So you basically apply your logs up here. But the novelty of this design is that it has a secondary chamber right here where air sort of, as it's getting pulled in, it gets diverted and channeled up this channel here, and then it feeds the fire at the top here. So in this sort of oxygen-deprived part. So it basically makes it a smokeless fire pit. And so my brother and I sort of went to the junkyard, scrapyard, and kind of made a smaller version of it. So it's got like a 15, 20-gallon oil drum as the inside chamber here. And then on top of that, or around that, is this compressed air container. And then you can see the vents here. So what happens is the air flows in here. It'll go through these little vent holes, and that'll feed the fire. The fire level's right here. And there's a grill below there. I don't know if that's visible. And then also there's a secondary chamber right up here, and then you can see the gap right there. So we've tested it out. It works pretty nice. So next year I got plans for a 55-gallon version. So like a big one like that. Yeah, that's it.
Very nice, thank you. Finally, rounding up our schedule this evening, we've got Evan, who has brought a retro encapsulator, which everyone needs.
Hey, so some of you guys might remember me from last week. I brought that ruler in, which is for students at Illinois. So this is a similar project for the same course. It's a senior, just to remind you, it's the course is for seniors in electrical engineering, so they just kind of learn how to do some programming, build their own projects out of hardware, put something together. So basically, that ruler and also what I'm about to show you are sort of to help the students when they're building their project. So what I'm showing you now, this is sort of an assignment that was in this senior design course, where basically the students will put together this little box that has a blinky light and a button on it. So just a very simple project, and it's got a potentiometer that controls the rate of blinking. So the whole idea is just a very simple project where they learn how to solder a PCB, which is provided to them. Sorry, you can't see that. They learn how to solder this, so we provide them with just a blank PCB. They solder in microcontroller, voltage regulator, and some connectors. And then they solder on, they solder on the connectors, and they learn how to crimp connectors as well. And so that fits into this box. So they basically just kind of learn the process of how to assemble a project, because previously a lot of the projects that we would see would just be sort of breadboards with jumper wires everywhere, and we wanted to see something a bit more professionally packaged. So the whole point of this assignment is just to sort of teach people with a really simple, this retro encapsulator is what it's called. It's just kind of a nonsense word, techno babble. But anyway, yeah, I also brought one of the PCBs with me, same picture. I didn't have the case to show you guys today, but this is just what the students are given, and they solder everything up with these connectors. So it's been a decent success. We had to keep things, when I say we, the TAs of this course had to keep things pretty simple, because over a year we'll have like 400 students do this. So there's a high volume, so we gotta like really iron out all the kinks. So there's a lot of time spent making sure that this assignment works well, and that we're not gonna have hundreds of students running into problems because we don't have the bandwidth to take care of that sort of thing. So yeah, that's the retro encapsulator. I have a little, yeah, you're gonna say something? No, never mind. Here's a little video of it blinking. Oh wait, that's not it. Well anyway, that's all that there is. There's you press the button here, and then you can turn the knob and it just changes the blink rate. So nothing fancy, but it does the job.
That's really fun. Basically, you built the internet. I like it. Did anybody else bring a share this evening that didn't make it on the roster? Anybody else got anything? No? Okay, a couple of brief announcements for you. We've got some classes coming up. On Thursday, January the 13th, we're doing Laser Cutting 101. If you have not yet taken that class, that is the one that you need to get authorization to use our laser cutter. There are currently 5 seats left in that class, and that is at 6:30 on January the 13th. We've also got MIG Welding 101 coming up. That is on January the 14th, which is Friday, and that is at 6:30, and there are seats in there as well. If you would like to learn MIG welding, this is an excellent opportunity. Somewhat complimentary to a recent share, we have a beer can stove class coming up on January the 15th. That is Saturday at noon. There are seats available there. Let me also remind you that on the 16th, which is Sunday, we're having our monthly board meeting that happens virtually across the internet. Members are all welcome to attend, and we will always post the link to that in the general membership channel of Mattermost. Finally, let me just mention, as you may have noted, there are great things happening next door in Bay 1. We have taken possession of that bay, and we're preparing it to move things into, getting it cleaned up, tidied, painted, and striped. If you have any time and you are willing to donate your labor, talk to a czar or czarina of a zone of your choice and see what help they could use. All the zones are going to be shuffling around and embiggening. It is an excellent thing for us to do. It's very exciting, and we can very much use your hands. Finally, let me remind you that the annual membership meeting is coming up. That is at the end of the month, Tuesday the 25th. That is the occasion in which we stuff as many Knox Makers members in here as possible, and we talk about the last year and the next year. We vote on stuff, and it's really fun to see so many folks that we see so seldom because of our mixed schedules. So if you can, please keep your schedule open so that you can join us here on the 25th for the annual membership meeting. And now, this is the time where we traditionally go out into the workshop and goof off together, hang out and work on projects and bother one another. If you're new to Knox Makers, if you haven't been here before and you need a tour, hit up anybody who's wearing a colored badge. We'll be glad to hook you up with that. Let's go out and make a mess. Thanks for coming.